August 30th, 1970. I won't put my husband to this test, but I remember it well. I remember it very well. I walked into this church at the invitation of my 4-year Studley Steady that I had on my arm, and he had put me under some duress about going to that church to start with. He had been asking me forever, and I'm like, I don't want to go to your church. I'm happy with my church. Leave me alone. Don't ever ask me again. And he said, you know what? If you will just go this one time, I will never ask you again. I promise. So I walk in, and it's the worst thing that Dana could have done. Because let me tell you, this 5'8", 120-pound soaking wet Romeo was sitting there playing his guitar, singing A Time for Us. Let me tell you, my heart literally stood still. I was instantly in love. It was love at first sight. I had never felt those kinds of feelings before. There was something that stirred in me and awakened my senses, and I thought I had just been hit by a train. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I didn't think. I couldn't breathe. I was so obsessed with this guy, I didn't even know. And so I did what every red-blooded American woman would do. I pursued him. I did everything to avail myself to this guy's presence. I mean, my creative juices were going. I'm like, any way that I could conjure up to be near him, I was. January 8th, 1971, we go on our first date. I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so excited. He asked me on a date, and he tells me over dinner that he can't date me. I'm like, well, so much for my little bubble. And then he takes me to a movie. And, of course, I'm just kind of flat but trying to be peppy and not let him think that, he's just torn my world asunder. So now I'm in a real quandary here. And I'm thinking, okay, I work in the same town you live and go to school, buddy. You're going to see me. You're going to know that I've been there some way. So I start creatively figuring out how I can just be near this guy. And I don't even care if I can be near him, if I can just smell his clothes or something. So I did what every red-blooded, normal American woman would do. I broke into his trailer. Now, before you think I'm a bad person, I'm really not. I thought, you know what? I'm going to do what I do best. I'm going to take care of him. You see, I grew up in a really large family. We had 8 kids and a mom and dad, and we worked on a farm, a big tobacco farm. I was a hard worker. I was very domesticated. I could cook you one mean meal. I could wash your clothes. I could do I was good at that stuff. So I'm like, I can just take care of him. He needs somebody to take care of him. He doesn't have his mommy around. He needs me. One day I'd clean the trailer and scrub those toilets. I was doing all that. And then I'm like, he only makes $100 a month as a youth minister. He drives back and forth 18 miles. I know he brings his laundry to his grandmama. That's why I thought about doing the laundry to start with. And I'm like, I bet he doesn't have any food. So I opened the doors one day. See, I wasn't nosy. I was just doing my thing. And so I opened the cabinet door. There's hardly nothing in the cabinets. So one day on lunch hour, I just go to the grocery store and I stock up his pantry. I am the phantom good Samaritan. I was doing no harm. I didn't steal anything. He was getting blessed. Well, one day I came home with this laundry and opened the door, and oh my goodness, I got caught red-handed. There was his roommate sitting right there, and he's like, "Oh, it's you." And I'm like, yeah, but it's not what you think. He's like, oh, we don't care. It's great. Girls, I call myself this phantom good Samaritan. You know what I was? A stalker. I was a stalker. I'd be in jail today. I mean, if somebody did that, I would be in jail if I did that. But I had it this bad for this boy. I mean, I was eaten up. He was something that I had to have because I couldn't get him out. I couldn't get enough of him. I just wanted to be in his presence all the time. I had to, because I couldn't stop thinking about him. I couldn't stop dreaming about moments alone with him. I couldn't stop thinking about planning a life's journey with this man. You know what I think was so different about him? It was fresh. This man was exciting to me. He was such a fresh love. And so when we got married, you know, that freshness didn't stay. Okay? I would be crazy to tell you that it didn't fade and need a little polishing every now and then. I couldn't write the books that I've written out there for a lot of reasons if God had not really promised this man to me. And because my prayer as a child was, Lord, please send me someone to teach me how to love. And oh my goodness, it has been a love adventure. And this is where I want you to lock in, because I've kind of taken you in threes tonight, if you haven't connected that. Fresh, faded, and forever. I want you to really focus on your relationship with Jesus, because we are romancing the rock tonight. And there's 3 ways that you need to do that. The first component to that is heart. What is a romance without heart in it? Nothing. It's just a relationship. That's all. To have a heart in something is to give everything to that relationship. And that's what God expects of you. You can't defend the person you love, and that includes God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. You can't defend them if you don't know them. And you've got to know them intimately. The second component to this is mind. Mind. You cannot have a romance without mind. Psalm 84:2, my soul yearns, even faints, for the courts of the Lord. My heart and my flesh cry out for the living God. Do you go into God's throne room often, or only when you need Him? Proverbs 2:10, for wisdom will enter your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Isn't that cool? Do you see the connection? All 3. It's got to be all 3. You've got to be in synchronization with God. Heart, mind, and soul. Now, when I fell in love with Webby, love at first sight, and I got that kiss that lingered on my lips, I got another one that was better. When I got that kiss, I wanted to climb down his throat. I just wanted to rest there for a while. I wanted to eat that man with a spoon. You know why? Because that kiss told me he loved me back. He loved me back. It had paid off. I can remember when I fell in love with Jesus as a kid. And you have to understand just a little bit about me to know this. I suffered in my family from not only physical, but emotional, verbal, spiritual, and sexual abuse. Almost on a daily basis. As far back as I can remember. And what saved me was when I fell in love with Jesus. Jesus became my friend. He became my protector. He provided nourishment for me. He provided hope for me. He was my companion when I didn't have one. I told him everything when I could tell no one else. He listened when no one else would. He was my rock. But I just loved him at first sight. But when I started romancing Jesus, I'll never forget it. Never. He is pursuing you. Will you pursue him with all you've got? Everything. Your heart, your mind, and your soul. He's waiting for his forever love.